Good morning, good morning. Welcome to season 2 of the Trapline at the off-grid cabin. It's early in the morning. As you can see, I'm still kind of wiping the sleep out of my eyes. We got 35 degrees. It is 4:45 a.m. and it just started to rain. Go figure. It's going to rain to mark the beginning of trapping season. So today is opening day of the early fox and coyote season here in Maine. It's usually about 2 weeks before the regular trapping season opens. I've been up here for a little bit over 2 weeks, close to 3 weeks. I have not focused on trapping at all. I've been super busy. You guys are going to see this too. But I've been working on a building project that Donnie had me building. Basically another cabin. So that's super exciting. Donnie is showing up tomorrow, and he is expecting to be cutting the rafters for that building, for that cabin. But to his surprise, I pretty much have the whole thing done. Rafters have been up for a week. It is completely sheathed, and it actually has a roof on it, metal roof on it. And I just started putting the siding on yesterday. So I am really excited to see Donnie's reaction when he shows up expecting to cut the rafters and the building is all done. So it's been a crazy amount of work. I've been putting in 12 plus hours a day, every day working on this building. That's why I haven't been focused too hard on trapping. Let's get a little bit more light in here. There we go. So today is opening day of early fox and coyote. And I gotta say, it is really bleak out there for fox and coyote. Now, most of the fox in the North Maine woods have disappeared over the last 20, 30 years due to being hunted down by coyote. Coyote will not stand for a fox in their territory. They will actively hunt and pursue them and kill them because they are competitors and they are another food source. So coyotes are smart enough to hunt down competitors and kill them as well. So there aren't a lot of fox, but there are some fox in this area because there are no coyote in this area. It is crazy, guys. I'm gonna go set traps today with probably the lowest outlook I've ever had to do anything in my life. It's like I've been taking a few rides lately. I've had a lot of moose hunters in camp. I've had a lot of bird hunters in camp. I've asked them to look for coyote sign anywhere, whether it be, footprints in the ditch, whether it be, coyote are always leaving their signposts out in the middle of the road, where they're pooping in the road, or they're pooping on a rock, or they're pooping on a high spot, or they're pooping in an intersection, or they're also peeing, and a lot of times you can see where they've peed on a rock, or they peed on this, or they peed on that. A lot of times it's like a fire hydrant where they'll pee on the thing that comes out in the road the furthest, whether it be a log or a rock, or even like if there's a beer can there, the coyotes will mark it and pee on it to let other coyotes know that they're in the area. My friends and other moose hunters that I've talked to that I just met have not seen any coyote sign at all. So I said, well, I'm going to leave my building project and go scout some coyote. So I went out and I've been scouting for the last 3 afternoons, and I have found 0 coyote sign. 0. It's absolutely incredible. I've never seen anything like it. Last year was pretty bleak. This year, very bleak. I've even pulled out a couple of Hail Marys. One of them is I went to an area where we found some coyote late last season and checked that area. That was like something I was going to keep in my back pocket. Nothing at all. And then the other thing I've been doing, and this is a trick for you trappers out there, if you're planning on trapping, is I've been going out, getting up at like midnight and taking a ride and going out to the top of a couple of these different mountaintops and just howling like a coyote to see if I get any response. Because 99% of the time, if you go anywhere at night in Maine and howl like a coyote, you're going to get a response from other coyotes. You'll start hearing them howling, and you can kind of pinpoint and say, okay, there's coyote on this ridge, there's coyote over here and down in this valley. I've been out there like a madman, like a crazy trapper, howling at the moon and getting no response. So it's thin for coyote. I'm going to lose some money. I'm going to lose a lot of time and effort doing it, but I love it. I love it so much. I love trapping. I love trapping for coyote that I'm going to go and take you guys along with us, and hopefully we can catch one coyote. I've never said that before. Normally I'm kind of a big numbers guy, but the way I'm looking at it without seeing any sign is maybe I'll get ahead of them, because Jeremiah Wood came in a week or so ago, and we had a long talk about Coyote too, because he's not seeing any sign in here. And he and I are kind of both on the agreement, and he took it to the next level, that he's saying that there's family groups or pods of coyotes that will move into an area. So there'll be nothing in the area, and then all of a sudden there'll be 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 just show up, and then you see a ton of sign. And then people are like, oh, there's a lot of coyote, there's tons of coyote, even though there was nothing there. So these aren't like really resident coyote that live here in this North Maine woods, the logging country that I'm in. These are kind of nomads that are moving in, and they're opportunistic. Now, this week and next week, still a really tough time to trap coyote, because we're just getting done one moose hunt, and then we're transitioning into another moose hunt coming up. So there's a lot of gut piles out there. Sadly, there's a lot of dead moose out there that just didn't get recovered. I was kind of surprised with all the people I talked to this year with how many people wound and hit moose that don't recover them. That's something as sportsmen we got to do a little bit better job of. I'm not above anybody else in saying that I haven't wounded an animal and not been able to find it, but we really need to put in some more effort. Be prepared to haul out a moose, thousands of yards if you have to, or cut it up. That's a new thing that's going around. A new thing. That's something that's been around for millions of years that is getting a resurgence, and people are starting to realize, oh, you can just cut up a moose and it's a lot easier than dragging them out, which it is. That's the plan for this season, is I'm going to trap this early fox and coyote season. I got my trap prep all done, about 3 weeks ago. You'll see that in some videos. I'll show you guys some of that. And all my traps are dyed. They're waxed. I'm ready to go. I'm trying out a new foothold trap this year for coyote called the No BS. It's a really, really stout trap that I'm excited to try out. And I'm already making plans for next year, guys. I got I think I can run a line down east and try to catch over 100 coyote in one early season. So I'm making plans for that. It's in the works. If you guys want to see a major coyote line next season, let me know in the comments, and if you guys want me to come down east and trap some coyote, let me know, because that could be an option. There's a lot of additions to camp. I don't know if you guys noticed while I'm walking around, but I got this awesome cribbage board that I'm pretty pumped about. A guy near me actually laser engraved that and made that. I'll get you his contact info if you guys are interested in something like that. I got quite a few deer heads hanging up. We lost Stevie's deer head. That giant 10-pointer fell off the wall. I think when the building shook, when it shed the snow load for the spring, it shook the building. And when I came up late spring, it was laying here on the floor, broken nose, rack broke. So that's at Jeff's, at Peak Taxidermy. Jeff's going to be able to repair the rack, and we have to make a decision whether we want him to mount that on another head or actually just turn it into a Euro mount. But those heads are up. I got my food for the next 3 or 4 months. That's all the food for the next 3 or 4 months. We got quite a bit of coffee. We got some random stuff. I've had 2 or 3 different moose hunting friends groups come in, so they leave food. So there's always like some weird stuff on the counter. I built a bookshelf and ammo shelf up here above the window. So that's super helpful there. We got a camp deer gun up here. That's a Henry. It's a 35 rem. So that one is for anybody that's hunting from camp that wants to shoot a deer. They could just grab that and go. We got some furs hanging up from last year's trap season, from last year's trap line. Got one of each species that we caught. We might add to that this year. It's a drought up here, so a lot of the streams are dry. I was planning on running an otter line, but it's going to be hard to find some water, and also trap some beaver too. There's really no muskrat or mink up here, or I would definitely trap for muskrat and mink, but there are otter and beaver, so I might be running an otter line. We'll see what the next couple weeks bring for rain. It's starting to rain today, of course. The next 2 or 3 days of early coyote season is going to see some rain, but we got like an hour and a half before the sun's up. I want to get out there as soon as I can and just get as many traps on the ground as I can today. And like I said, Donnie's coming in tomorrow, and he and I are going to trap together for the next as long as he can stay. But I appreciate everybody watching last year's Trapline series, season 1. This is the beginning of season 2. I hope you guys enjoy it. I appreciate everybody's support for the channel. You guys know what I went through last winter with the channel, and now it's back. It's going. I'm going to go as hard as I can. Show you guys even more stuff in the North Maine woods than I did last year, and I got some really cool stuff planned for it. All right, guys. All right. I got 3 sets in so far. Going pretty good. Going, nice and easy. It's not a rush on this stuff. You have to be perfect with coyotes, and especially up here in the wilderness, trapping wilderness coyotes. I wear gloves, I wear rubber boots, I take painful precautions to be as scent-free as possible. When you hear these trappers that, I don't wear gloves, I don't wear scents, I smoke a cigarette while I'm setting the trap and all this stuff, well, the truth of the matter is they're trapping dumb coyotes. They're not up here in the North Woods trapping wilderness coyotes. They're trapping coyotes around towns, they're trapping coyotes around cities, they're trapping coyotes around farms that smell humans on a daily basis. That's part of the coyote's life, is working and living around humans. Up here, these coyotes will go 6, 7, 8 months without smelling a human, and then any human interaction they have is extremely small. That's why I go to all the painstaking precautions that I do to make sure that I am as scent-free as possible, which you can never really truly be as scent-free. I'm trapping an intersection here. I threw 2 traps here. I had a catch here and a miss here last year, and then I saw some coyote here later in the season. Intersections to me are by far the best spots because it gives you that little bit of leeway with coyotes. A coyote's brain is in his nose, so everything that he smells goes right through his head, and he knows what's going on. So intersections are great for 2 reasons. The first one is they use them the same way we would, for travel and to move around. They know that if they take this road, it'll take them to another road. They know that they can get further in or into a new hunting spot or an old hunting spot by traveling those roads and intersections. So they use intersections similar to what we do. And then the other way is it gives me that little bit of leeway with human scent, because humans and hunters, I've found over the years, love to use intersections to meet up with other hunters. They stop there and eat lunch. They stop and use it as a restroom. They clean their birds. They clean their rabbits. They clean their small game in intersections. And a lot of time they leave it. And I'll show you what's going on here. This is a prime example of it. Is somebody dumped about 3 partridge carcasses here. Because I see 5 wings, so that tells me there were probably 3 partridge carcasses here. And this is a 3-way intersection here. And you could see that a predator has gotten into these partridge already. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's kind of spread. You could see a little bit over here, some feathers. I'll show you over here. Yeah, this is where a predator took it into the woods here and ate what it wanted to and just kind of left the feathers there. So I'm thinking coyote, possibly fox. I'm hoping not lynx. A lynx's brain is in its eyes, so we're not, oh, there's a wing right there. We're not allowed to use any visual attractors, and all of our bait has to be hidden and non-visible. In the early season, absolutely no attractors. I'll show you what else. Yep, there's some more partridge. There's some more feathers right there. And then there's a toilet paper, let's call it. So intersections have a lot of human scent. Coyotes are used to that. So that's why I try to trap intersections, for those 2 reasons. It will up my chances, and it gets me that little bit of leeway with human scent. So I put 2 sets in here because this is the best spot I've ever found for coyote in this area, and this area is pretty bleak. But there's one there. You can see my dry dirt. I'm using wax dirt this year in the bank. And then only about 35, 40 feet further, I have another set, and both these are dirt hole sets into the bank. That one I kind of got a little bit of a stepping stick right there to try to get it on the pan. So that's a no BS trap. I did not like how that set with gloves on. I got to figure out, that was the first one I've set yet. And then this one is a MB550. That trap right there, I used partridge guts that I had from another partridge. And the first trap, I just used some like coyote bait number 2 or something like that. You know, just a ground up beaver caster with some, probably some glands in there. So two different smells for them, 2 different looks. And when they come through, hopefully we get one, maybe 2. You know, mentally, it's very much a challenge more than normal because I've never trapped where there's no sign at all. Like, I mean, there's nothing for sign up here for coyote. It's crazy. Last year, even after the season was over and I had snow every day, I saw very, very, very few coyote tracks around. So there's not a lot of coyote around. So mentally, I just got to wrap my head around that, stay positive, make sets that I think are going to be the best possible sets to catch coyote and fur, and just know that I'm not going to be able to put up numbers, you know, and manage my expectations a little bit better. But that being said, I still want to get creative. I still want to make the best sets that I possibly can, and I still want to catch some coyote. This morning, I'm not too far from camp. So far, I'm still within 10 miles, and I'm just putting a line out. I'm trapping areas where I know some moose were killed, so I'm hoping that coyote already started to frequent those areas, you know, for the gut pile or for even, you know, if there's a dead moose in the woods. And then I'm also focusing on intersections right now. So I'm going to run this line out to the major logging road. That'll cover probably 12 miles. Then I'm going to hit the major logging road and just make a decision on which way to go and start looking for more sign and trapping where I think coyote are going to be, even if they're not there currently. The coyote is just an awesome, awesome animal. It's one of my favorite animals to trap. I have had some success with them, and I've been humbled by them both. You know, it's just such a unique and incredibly smart animal that can survive. You know, they live in cities, they live in the wilderness, they live in towns right amongst people, almost like a ghost. And they have this hatred towards them that I just never really understood it, because I don't hate coyote, and I don't kill coyotes out of hate. I really love a coyote, and I love pursuing them and catching them and playing the predator-prey game with them and turning the tables on them. But I've never understood the hatred towards them, and it's just the weirdest thing to me. And I've asked people, you know, who say they hate coyotes and kill every one of them, and you know, guys that feel like it's okay to break the law to kill a coyote, make an exception to kill that coyote, or run them over with a snowmobile out on an open lake, or poison them, or just take different not fair chase game at them. And the only answer those guys have ever given me to why they hate a coyote is because they killed deer. And it's like, all right, well, I kill deer, you know, and I kill deer legally, but you know, those same people, you know, I have buddies who don't kill deer legally. You know, they've pushed the law, or they might have shot one at night, or shot one from a vehicle, or, you know, poached deer. And I'd be one heck of a hypocrite if I hated a coyote who doesn't have a scope and a rifle, and you know, the only thing it has going for it are its wits and its nose. It doesn't even have claws to grab a deer. You know, if I hated an animal for doing that, but was okay with people killing deer in a non-fair way, or even in a fair way. You know, I was on the facial book there a couple weeks ago, and a big time hunter from Maine posted a picture of just his trophy bucks, and he had 100, between like 70 and 100, I didn't really count them, trophy bucks on the side of this barn. And a bunch of people say, I hate coyote because they killed deer. Well, they killed deer because they gotta eat and they gotta survive. And last time I checked, we got too many deer in the state of Maine. The state is begging us to kill deer ever since the coyote have come into Maine. All right, I'm back. It's about 12 hours into the day. I did not get a lot of coyote sets in. I got a little bit over a dozen. I ended up scouting for marten and fisher most of the day. I started to scout for coyote, and then that just kind of turned, I just couldn't find anything. So I switched over and started scouting for marten and fisher. The season's coming up in like 12 days, and that was the first time I've actually been out, because I've been building a building for Donnie the rest of the time this year. So that's the longest I've been on the roads. It was really cool. I got to see a bunch of partridge. Can't shoot them on a Sunday, so today's Sunday, so they got a free pass for today. But yeah, so I got some sets to check for tomorrow, which will be pretty cool. I'll probably throw in a few more traps in the morning if it's not raining too hard. And then Donnie gets here tomorrow, so I definitely want to be here for that. Burned up, probably 10 gallons of gas today. Did 130 miles and got into some pretty rough country, some four-wheel drive stuff that, you know, I gotta make sure I throw the saw and the shovel in there for next time. But first thing I want to do today before it rains, and something I always like to do the night before, is to fuel up and get the truck all ready for tomorrow. That's that little battery pump. It's a little bit over a year old now. It's holding up really well. Runs on 4 AA batteries, and the best part about it is it kicks off when it fills up, so it doesn't just pour all over the ground. Well, that's it for today, guys. Got some sets in, got to see some new ground for me. I found some really good fur pockets for marten and fisher, I believe. Might have found a decent otter stream that still had some water in it. We're in quite a drought here up in northern Maine. Big day tomorrow. I get to check traps. That is what it is. I'm pretty excited about that, even though my hopes are not very high with just not seeing any coyote sign at all. And first day on the check is usually a tough one. You know, usually it takes a couple days for that my scent to disappear and for those coyotes to come into those sets. But you never know. I mean, they're all individuals. They're all different animals. But the biggest thing I'm excited for is Donnie rolls into camp tomorrow, so I'm pumped for that.